Captain Kim Soo-jin checked her watch as she walked through the corridors of the diplomatic ship Harmony. 3 days into their mission, everything seemed normal. The ship hummed quietly as it moved through space toward the meeting point where they would negotiate new trade agreements with the outer colonies. "Captain," called Lieutenant Park Min-ho from the bridge. "We're getting close to the coordinates. Should I slow us down?" Soo-jin nodded and took her seat. Through the large windows, she could see distant stars twinkling in the darkness. This was her 5th diplomatic mission since Earth joined the Galactic Federation 2 years ago. Each time she felt proud to represent humanity among the advanced, alien civilizations. The Federation was huge. The Zephyrians were beings made of pure energy who controlled vast territories. The Korthak Empire ruled over dozens of worlds with their powerful military. The ethereal collective could read minds and manipulate thoughts. Compared to them, humans seemed very ordinary. "Captain, I'm picking up ships on our sensors," reported Ensign Cho Young-min from his station. 3 vessels approaching from different directions. Soo-jin frowned. "Are they the ships we're supposed to meet?" "I'm not sure. Their signals don't match what we were told to expect." Before anyone could respond, the communication system crackled to life. A harsh reptilian voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Federation space. Prepare to be boarded." "This is Captain Kim of the Earth Diplomatic Mission," Soo-jin replied quickly. "We have proper authorization for this meeting. There must be some mistake." "No mistake. Human. Your species has been found guilty of attacking civilian transports in this sector." Soo-jin's blood went cold. "That's impossible. We just arrived here. We haven't attacked anyone." The Korthak ships moved closer, their weapon systems already charging with deadly energy. Through the view screen, Soo-jin could see the long, sharp design of their warships. Each one was 3 times larger than the Harmony. "Sir," whispered Park Min-ho, "our weapons are offline for the diplomatic mission. We have no way to defend ourselves." Lieutenant Commander Lee Hyun-woo, the ship's 2nd officer, moved to Soo-jin's side. "Captain, this feels like a trap. Why would they accuse us of something we didn't do?" Before Soo-jin could answer, the first blast hit their ship. The Harmony shook violently as alarms began screaming throughout the corridors. Red emergency lights flashed as the main power flickered. "Shields at 60%, shouted Cho Young-min. "They're targeting our engines." "Send a distress signal to Earth immediately," ordered Soo-jin. "Tell them what's happening here." The second blast was even stronger. The bridge filled with smoke as sparks flew from damaged control panels. Through the chaos, Soo-jin could see other ships in the distance. 3 civilian transports that had been traveling through the area were also under attack. "Captain, the escape pods are ready," reported Lee Hyun-woo, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. "No," Soo-jin said firmly. "We need to save the civilians first. Those transports have families on board." But it was too late. The Korthak ships fired their main weapons, and the civilian vessels exploded in bright flashes of light. Hundreds of innocent lives were gone in seconds. "They're not just attacking us," Park Min-ho said in horror. "They're killing everyone." The third blast tore through the Harmony's hull. The ship began breaking apart as atmosphere rushed out into space. Soo-jin grabbed the communication system with her last bit of strength. "This is Captain Kim Soo-jin of Earth. The Korthak Empire has attacked us without cause. They destroyed civilian ships. This was planned. They knew we were coming. Tell Earth, tell them we were innocent." Lee Hyun-woo pulled her toward the escape pods as the ship continued to die around them. Only a few pods managed to launch before the Harmony exploded completely. Hours later, floating in the cold darkness of space, the survivors watched Korthak ships collecting pieces of wreckage. They seemed to be planting something among the debris. "They're putting evidence there," Lee Hyun-woo realized with growing anger. "They're going to blame us for this attack." 2 days passed before rescue ships arrived, but they weren't human vessels. Federation investigators took the survivors into custody and began questioning them about their crimes. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Ambassador Thekvar of the Korthak Empire stood before the Federation Council with manufactured proof that human weapons had caused the destruction. Video recordings showed human ship signatures at the scene of the attack. "The evidence is clear," Thekvar announced to the assembled delegates. Humanity has shown its true violent nature. Perhaps they are not ready for civilized galactic society. Within days, the Federation imposed severe punishment on Earth. All trade agreements were cancelled. Human ships were banned from most sectors of space. Earth's representatives were treated like criminals whenever they appeared at Federation meetings. Back on Earth, the news hit like a physical blow. Captain Kim Soo-jin was dead. Hundreds of innocent civilians were dead. And now humanity was being blamed for their own massacre. The trap had worked perfectly. The galaxy believed the lies, and humanity stood alone, marked as aggressors by the very people they had tried so hard to befriend. Admiral Choi Dong-soo sat in his office deep beneath Seoul, staring at the reports scattered across his desk. Each page told the same terrible story. Captain Kim Soo-jin was dead. The Harmony was destroyed. 3 civilian ships full of families had been blown apart. And now the entire galaxy believed that humans were responsible. His hands shook as he read the Federation's punishment. All trade stopped. All human ships banned from most of space. Earth's children treated like criminals wherever they went. A knock came at his door. "Come in," he called quietly. Colonel Kim Jae-min entered, his face grim. "Sir, the President wants to see you. The Emergency Council is meeting in 1 hour." Choi looked up at his old friend. They had served together for 20 years, fought in Earth's last great war, and worked side by side to build humanity's peaceful space program. Now all of that seemed like a waste. "Jae-min, do you remember what I told you when we joined the Federation? You said we needed to prove we belonged among the civilized species. I was wrong." Choi stood up slowly, his back aching from years of service. "We tried to be what they wanted us to be. We smiled and bowed and followed their rules. We turned our warships into exploration vessels. We converted our weapons factories to make farming equipment." He walked to the window that looked out over the underground command center. Hundreds of people worked at computer screens, most of them looking confused and scared. "They think we're just another prey species, don't they?" Choi continued. "Another weak civilization that crawled out of some gentle world." Kim Jae-min nodded. "The Korthak ambassador called us soft primitives in his speech yesterday." A cold smile crossed Choi's face. Primitives. They have no idea what primitives from Earth are capable of. An hour later, Choi walked into the emergency meeting. The President and 15 other leaders sat around a large table, all of them looking desperate. "Admiral," the President began, "what are our options? The Federation won't listen to our protests. Half the galaxy thinks we're terrorists." "With respect, sir, our options are simple," Choi replied. "We can keep begging them to believe us, or we can show them who we really are." Defense Minister Park So-young leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we stop pretending to be something we're not. Every human child learns about Earth's history. We didn't become the dominant species by being gentle. We survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed any other civilization." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's continents. "While other species evolved on worlds that took care of them, we grew up on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to hunt mammoth in the snow. We learned to cross oceans in wooden boats. We learned to turn everything around us into tools and weapons." The room was silent as Choi continued. "The Korthak think they've beaten us. They think one ambush and some lies will make us crawl away in shame. They have no idea what sleeping giant they just woke up." "But Admiral," interrupted Foreign Minister Yoon Mi-ra, "we can't fight the entire galaxy. They have thousands of worlds, millions of ships. Who said anything about fighting fair?" Choi's eyes were hard as steel. "They want to see primitives? I'll show them primitives, but not the kind they expect." Within hours of the meeting, secret orders went out across Earth. Military bases that had been closed for years suddenly came back to life. Factory complexes quietly changed their production schedules. Research facilities that worked on peaceful projects received new funding and new priorities. Dr. Song Mi-young was working late in her laboratory when the call came. As head of advanced materials research, she had spent the last 2 years studying alien technology from Federation trade goods. "Dr. Song," said the voice on her communication device, "you've been reassigned to Project Phantom. Report to Facility 7 immediately." At the secret base, Mi Young found herself surrounded by Earth's best scientists and engineers. The project leader, a man she didn't recognize, addressed the group. "Ladies and gentlemen, for 2 years we've been taking apart alien technology and learning how it works. We've been polite about it, careful not to copy anything too closely. That ends today." Xiao activated a massive display showing Federation ship designs, weapon systems, and communication networks. "We know their weaknesses now. We know how their shields work, how their engines function, how their computers think, and we're going to use that knowledge." Dr. Kang Woo-jin, a young engineer, raised his hand. "Sir, are we building weapons to fight them?" "Better than that. We're going to become ghosts, ships they can't see, soldiers they can't detect. We're going to be everywhere and nowhere, hitting them where they least expect it." Across Earth, similar scenes played out. Former soldiers received mysterious phone calls. Retired intelligence officers found new jobs waiting for them. Computer experts who had been working on video games suddenly found themselves assigned to military hacking projects. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They thought humanity would respond like other civilized species, with protests and diplomacy and eventual surrender. They didn't understand that humans were never truly civilized. They had simply chosen to behave that way. Now that choice was over. The prey had remembered it was a predator, and the hunt was about to begin. 6 months after the massacre, strange things began happening in Korthak space. Military stations lost power for no reason. Supply ships disappeared between star systems. Communication networks went silent for hours at a time. Commander Yoon Tae-ho floated in the darkness outside Korthak Military Station Theta 7, his black stealth suit making him invisible against the stars. His breathing was steady and quiet as he watched the massive space station rotate slowly in front of him. "Phoenix team, this is Hawk," he whispered into his helmet microphone. "I'm at the maintenance airlock, beginning entry now." His team of 12 had trained for this mission for 4 months. They traveled here in a ship disguised as space junk, drifting for weeks to avoid detection. Now they were finally ready to strike back. Lieutenant Nam Soo-bin's voice crackled in his earpiece. "Hawk, we're monitoring their security systems. Guards, just change shifts. You have 20 minutes before the next patrol." Yoon carefully cut through the airlock with a tool that made no sound and left no trace. Inside the station, he moved like a shadow through empty corridors. The Korthak had no idea that death was walking among them. The station housed 3,000 soldiers and staff. It controlled military operations for an entire sector of space. More importantly, it contained the computer records that would prove humanity's innocence. Yoon reached the central computer core without being seen. His fingers moved quickly over the alien keyboard as he downloaded everything: fleet positions, communication codes, battle plans, and financial records. "Phoenix team, I'm in their main computer," he reported quietly. "You won't believe what I'm finding here." "What is it?" asked Nam Soo-bin. "Records of a meeting from 8 months ago. The Korthak High Command planned the attack on Captain Kim's ship. They chose the location, they prepared the false evidence, they even practiced the ambush." Sergeant Kim Bo-ra's angry voice joined the conversation. "Those monsters. They murdered our people in cold blood and made the galaxy think we did it." "Get everything," ordered Yoon. "Every file, every communication, every piece of proof." As the download continued, other members of Phoenix team moved through the station. They planted small devices that would take control of critical systems. Each device was no bigger than a coin and completely invisible to Korthak scanners. "Hawk, this is Raven," called Private Lee Junseo from the weapons control room. "I've accessed their defense systems. When you give the word, this entire station will be defenseless." "Copy that, Raven. Wait for my signal." Yoon finished copying the computer files and began the second part of his mission. Using tools designed by Dr. Song Mi-young's team, he quietly sabotaged the station's main systems. Life support would fail in exactly 6 hours. Emergency power would shut down 30 minutes later. The crew would have just enough time to evacuate before the station became a lifeless hulk. But first, he had a message to send. "Phoenix Team, execute Phase 2, he commanded. Across the station, 12 small devices activated at once. Every computer screen, every communication panel, every display suddenly showed the same thing. Video evidence of the Korthak's betrayal 8 months ago. The recording showed Ambassador Thekvar meeting with his military commanders. "The humans are too trusting," his voice said clearly. "We will destroy their diplomatic ship and blame them for attacking our civilians. The Federation will expel them, and we can claim their colonies for ourselves." The station's crew watched in shock as their own leaders confessed to mass murder and deception. But the recording didn't stop there. It also showed lists of other species the Korthak had betrayed, planets they had conquered through lies, and innocent people they had killed. "Attention, Korthak Station Theta 7. Yoon's voice echoed through every speaker on the station. "You have 6 hours to evacuate before this facility shuts down permanently. Consider this a small payment for the crew of the Harmony." The Korthak. Soldiers ran to their battle stations, but it was too late. Every weapon was offline, every shield was down. Their mighty space fortress had become a helpless metal box drifting in space. As Phoenix Team prepared to leave, explosions suddenly lit up the darkness around them. 3 Korthak patrol ships had arrived to investigate the station's distress calls. "Hawk, we've got company," reported Nam Subin from their hidden ship. 3 destroyers moving fast. "Can you get us out of here?" asked Yoon as he and his team reached their escape pods. "Not against 3 destroyers. We're outnumbered and outgunned." But Nam Subin had forgotten something important. Phoenix Team wasn't fighting alone. All across this sector of space, other human teams were conducting similar missions. As the Korthak destroyers moved to attack, 12 human fighter ships suddenly appeared from behind nearby asteroids. Captain Bang Seojun led the fighter squadron. His ships were smaller and faster than anything the Korthak had seen before. They moved like ghosts, striking and vanishing before the enemy could return fire. Within minutes, all 3 Korthak destroyers were drifting wrecks. Phoenix Team escaped safely with their precious cargo of evidence. Similar operations were happening simultaneously across 50 different Korthak installations. Humanity had learned patience from their mistakes. Now they hunted with the methodical precision of their predator ancestors. The Korthak Empire was about to learn what happened when you attacked Earth's children. The sleeping giant was awake and it remembered everything. The evidence spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every news network, every communication channel, every public forum showed the same shocking recordings. Ambassador Thekvar's own words proved that the Korthak Empire had murdered innocent humans and framed them for the crime. But Admiral Choi Dong-soo wasn't satisfied with just clearing humanity's name. In the war room deep beneath Seoul, he stood before 50 of Earth's best military commanders, his face hard as stone. "They called us primitives," he said quietly. "They murdered Captain Kim and her crew. They destroyed civilian ships full of families. They made the galaxy hate us for their crimes." He gestured to the massive display showing Korthak space. Red dots marked hundreds of military bases, shipyards, and command centers spread across 30 star systems. "Today we show them what happens when you wake up a sleeping predator." The room was silent as Choi continued. "This isn't about revenge. This is about survival. As long as the Korthak Empire exists, they will keep trying to destroy us. So we're going to destroy them first." General Park Hye-jin, commander of the Space Marines, leaned forward. "Sir, intelligence reports show they have over 2,000 warships. Our entire fleet is less than 300 vessels. Who said we're fighting them ship to ship?" Choi smiled coldly. "We're going to fight them the human way." Captain Bang Seojun had been flying combat missions for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. His fighter squadron moved through space like a pack of hunting wolves, invisible to enemy sensors until they struck. "Dragon Squadron, this is Dragon 1, he spoke into his helmet microphone. "Target is the Korthak shipyard at Kepler 442. Remember, hit fast and disappear. Don't give them time to fight back." His 12 fighters approached the massive military installation that built the Empire's largest warships. The shipyard was heavily defended with energy shields, missile batteries, and patrol craft. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would be suicide. But these weren't normal circumstances. Dragon 1, this is Ghost, came a voice from the stealth ship hidden nearby. We've hacked their defense systems. All weapons are offline for the next 10 minutes. Major Oh Kyung-suk led the cyber warfare team that had spent months learning how Korthak computers worked, how she could control their systems better than they could. Dragon Squadron, you are clear to attack, she reported. Their shields are down, weapons offline, and communication jammed. Make it count. Bang's fighters dove toward the shipyard like falling stars. Their weapons weren't the massive cannons that other species used. Instead, they carried small, precise missiles designed to hit exactly where they would do the most damage. The first wave of missiles struck the shipyard's main reactor. The second wave hit the construction facilities. The third wave destroyed the docking bays where completed warships waited to join the fleet. Within minutes, the pride of the Korthak military industry was an expanding cloud of debris and fire. Dragon 1 to all units. Mission accomplished. Returning to base. But Bang's attack was just one of hundreds happening simultaneously across Korthak space. While he destroyed their shipyard, other human teams were hitting communication centers, supply depots, training facilities, and command posts. Commander Yoon Tai-ho led a different kind of mission. His team didn't fly fighters or pilot warships. Instead, they infiltrated Korthak cities and turned the Empire's own people against their leaders. Phoenix team, this is Hawk, he whispered from inside a Korthak government building. I'm uploading the evidence files to their public networks now. The files contained more than just proof of the attack on the Harmony. They showed decades of lies, betrayals, and atrocities committed by the Korthak leadership. Species that had been conquered, planets that had been stripped of resources, innocent people who had been enslaved or killed. Within hours, riots broke out on a dozen Korthak worlds. The Empire's own citizens turned against their government, demanding justice for the crimes committed in their name. Sir, reported Lieutenant Nam Soo-bin, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different Korthak colonies. They want to join the rebellion against the Empire. Admiral Choi watched the reports flowing in from across the galaxy. The coordinated human assault was working better than he had dared hope. In less than 48 hours, the Korthak Empire's military was collapsing. Status report, he ordered. 70% of their shipyards destroyed, reported General Park. Communications down across 22 systems. Their main fleet is scattered and unable to coordinate. What about their leadership? Emperor Thekzar and his high command are trapped on their capital world. Their palace shields are down, and our infiltration teams are moving in. Choi nodded with satisfaction. Signal all units, Phase 3 begins now. Phase 3 wasn't about destroying the Korthak Empire. It was about saving the millions of innocent people who had been enslaved by it. Human ships moved to liberate conquered worlds, while human diplomats contacted species that had been forced to serve the Empire. This is Admiral Choi of Earth, his message broadcast across the galaxy. The Korthak Empire has fallen. All species held under their rule are now free. Humanity offers protection and aid to any who need it. Within a week, the mighty Korthak Empire ceased to exist. Their military was destroyed, their leadership captured, and their territory divided among the species they had oppressed. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. The sleeping giant was awake, and it would never be caught off guard again. 3 months after the fall of the Korthak Empire, Ambassador Shin Bo-ra walked through the corridors of the Federation Council building. The hallways that once felt hostile now buzzed with nervous energy as alien diplomats whispered among themselves. She entered the great assembly hall where representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered. The massive chamber fell silent as she took her place at the speaker's podium. Behind her, the seats that once belonged to Korthak delegates sat empty, a reminder of how quickly power could shift in the galaxy. Honored delegates, Shin began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. 6 months ago, humanity stood before you accused of terrible crimes. You believed the lies. You punished us without seeking the truth. You abandoned us when we needed justice most. The assembled representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Many of them had voted for the sanctions against Earth, convinced by Korthak propaganda that humans were dangerous primitives. Today the truth is known, Shin continued. The evidence speaks for itself. The Korthak Empire murdered our people and framed us for their crimes. They did this because they saw humanity as weak as easy prey that could be eliminated without consequence. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. They were wrong about us. Completely, fatally wrong. In the viewing gallery above, Admiral Choi Dong-soo watched the proceedings with satisfaction. The old warrior had spent his life preparing for this moment, though he never imagined it would come at such a terrible cost. The Korthak learned something that every species in this galaxy must now understand. Shin's voice grew stronger. Humanity did not become the dominant species on Earth by being gentle. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. While your ancestors developed on worlds that nurtured them, ours survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and disasters that would have destroyed any other civilization. She gestured to the holographic display behind her, showing images of Earth's harsh history. We learned to hunt creatures 10 times our size. We learned to cross frozen continents and burning deserts. We learned to turn every challenge into an opportunity, every enemy into a lesson. The Zephyrian representative, a being of pure energy, flickered nervously. Ambassador Shin, surely you don't mean to threaten the Federation? Threaten? Shin smiled, but it wasn't a warm expression. I'm simply explaining reality. For 2 years, humanity tried to be what you wanted us to be. We followed your rules, respected your customs, sought peaceful solutions to every problem. We thought civilization meant weakness. She walked closer, to the assembly, her footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. The Korthak mistake taught us something important. Civilization isn't about being weak, it's about choosing when to be strong. On the screens around the chamber, images appeared showing the liberation of former Korthak colonies. Millions of beings who had lived as slaves were now building new lives under human protection. Former enemy worlds had become grateful allies. In 37 systems that once belonged to the Empire, new governments are forming, Shin reported. Species that were oppressed for centuries are learning to govern themselves. Trade routes that were controlled by Korthak military are now open to all peaceful travelers. The ethereal collective's representative, a tall being with large black eyes, spoke telepathically to the assembly. The humans have gained significant territory through their victory. Some fear they will become the new empire. Your fears are understandable, Shin replied. But look at our actions, not your assumptions. We could have claimed the Korthak worlds for ourselves. Instead, we gave them to the people who lived there. We could have enslaved their populations for revenge. Instead, we freed them and offered partnership. She activated another display showing Earth's new diplomatic missions throughout the former empire. Human ambassadors are working with local leaders to establish fair governments. Human engineers are rebuilding infrastructure destroyed by decades of Korthak exploitation. Human teachers are helping former slaves learn to read and write. Admiral Choi smiled from the gallery. This was the kind of victory he had always dreamed of. Not just military success, but moral triumph. However, Shin's voice grew cold again. Let no one mistake our generosity for weakness. The galaxy has seen what happens to those who attack. Innocent humans. We do not forget. We do not forgive those who spill the blood of our people. The chamber remained silent as she delivered her final words. Humanity seeks peace with all who approach us honestly. We offer friendship, trade, and cooperation to any species willing to treat us as equals. But remember this lesson well. We are not prey. We never were. We are the children of a world that forged us in fire and ice, and we have finally remembered what that means. The vote was unanimous. Earth's full membership in the Federation was restored immediately. More importantly, humanity was granted a permanent seat on the Security Council, giving them a voice in all major galactic decisions. As the session ended, delegates from dozens of species approached Shin with requests for new trade agreements and military partnerships. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and everyone wanted to be on humanity's good side. Later that evening, Shin stood on the observation deck of Earth's embassy station, looking out at the stars. Communication Officer Kim Jae-won joined her, carrying a message from home. "Ambassador, this just came from Earth Command. They're asking about our next diplomatic priorities." Shin smiled as she watched ships from former Korthak worlds arriving. At the station, their crews eager to learn from their human liberators. "Tell them the future looks bright, J1." "Very bright indeed,"